So coming up now, our top 5 films of 2018. That's drum roll, by the way. So don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. Tell us what your top 5 are. We love to know.
Number 5 for me is First Reformed. Paul Schrader's First Reformed, starring
so
Ethan
you
Hawke.
put it higher than
See it.
I thought it was brilliantly shot, beautifully shot. I think it's Ethan Hawke's performance of an absolute lifetime. He gives us Travis Bickle, who's the character from Taxi Driver, in a cassock, in a church, and it's just the most torturous sort of story about his faith, belief, what it means to be a meaningful, caring human being, what is the world that we live in. Everything about it spoke to me on every conceivable level. I found it really emotional. I feel tearful talking about it because it really moved me. His performance really moved me. And his solitariness and his kindness just really, really touched me. So I thought, for me, First Reformed was an absolute
good one.
work of genius.
Yeah. So number 5 for me is Tully. And I need to watch Tully again because strangest thing happened to me. When I came out of the cinema, I was angry because I felt like I'd been just sold a pup. But and then I couldn't stop thinking about it. We then did the review, I think, for it a day or so later, and I was loving it. And now, like months later, I absolutely love it.
Oh, right.
It's really weird. It was just like a grower. And that's why sometimes it's important with certain reviews just to leave them a day or two, because some films need to settle. But I mean, to get under the skin and to be able to tell the story to women that only women
I'd like
can
to see
know.
it again, actually.
Only women can know.
Yeah.
That utter exhaustion, the repetitiveness, the shock, the terror, the horror of a new baby and the breastfeeding, the breast pumping.
Yeah, I'd quite like to see it
Able
again.
to tell us that story when we spend our whole life trying to tell people what that story was like, because in a way you do feel like a survivor of torture.
Yeah.
And yet this
You're not
film
responsible, girls.
told
Didn't
this.
ask to be born.
Oh no, it wasn't.
No, I'm joking,
This
is it?
film told this so brilliantly,
did,
and I
yeah.
came out of the bloody cinema. I was pissed off.
Oh.
But maybe it really spoke, because it had really spoken to you. You were
Yeah.
angry about what women, in a sense, aren't allowed to articulate.
Yeah.
Because it did feel like a film where, because we saw that in New York, didn't we, Tully?
Yeah,
We
me
saw
and
it-
you
Oh,
Yeah,
I think for a young girl, I think it would be almost impossible to get anything
Did
from
you see it?
it.
Have you seen it?
I loved
Kate?
it.
Kiki, have you seen it?
Did you love it, Mads?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Oh,
In
yes,
a different way, I think.
Yeah.
Not on a like relating
Yeah.
sense, but I can
Yeah.
appreciate the performance, and I had difficulty with like seeing her doing the breast pumping things.
Oh, yeah,
It
that
just
was
made me
hard.
feel so-
Well, imagine actually doing it.
No, I know, but it made me feel in pain. That's why I don't want children.
You sit there go.
So, Kiki, what's your number 5?
Ghost Stories.
Ooh, Ghost
I
Stories.
didn't-
Hey, it's a goodie.
I love how confusing it was. The way it was like done.
Yeah, shot and made, it was good.
I
The
wasn't.
acting's-
Yeah, I wasn't bored at all, even though I didn't look at most of it.
And you made me watch it on bloody Halloween.
Yeah, I love Alex Lawfer in it. He was really good.
Which was your favourite story? Was it the Alex Lawther one?
Or
Yeah,
the
probably because
Martin Freeman.
he was quite funny.
He was
Yeah.
like the story. Which story was it? Because I thought his
Yeah,
was quite weird.
yeah. The actual like the thing. What is this thing?
The creature that's after him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't
weird.
find that very good.
I thought the scariest of the 3 stories was the Martin Freeman one.
Yeah.
The one where she puts her finger in his mouth.
Oh no, that was
No,
the
that
first
was-
one. Oh no, you're
that's-
right.
the
No,
first
Paul
one.
Whitehouse.
That's
That's
one.
really
The
creepy.
first one I found scary.
No, I found the
I
last
found
one
the
really
first
scary
one
with the
scariest
baby.
too.
Yeah, I did.
When the
Yeah.
wife goes, ah!
And I love Martin Freeman.
Oh, Martin
Martin
Freeman.
Freeman,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
To be
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
to be honest,
yeah.
I found the
Yeah.
ending story the scariest with Kojak. I
Yeah.
don't use
Yeah.
that term.
Yeah.
But the boy with the hood up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Shoots
Maddie,
himself.
like Maddie said one time when we were watching it, that every time you like rewatch it, you notice something in it.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I like about
Yeah.
it.
That's a
It's
sign
It's
of
almost
a good
like
film.
a puzzle.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a clever. It's such
Yeah.
a clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 5 for me is Spider-Man into Spider-Man.
Hey!
To this, I can say it was the perfect film. I was not bored once. I wouldn't even put it in the superhero category because I felt like it was more of like it was such a clever film.
Yeah.
not to say that superhero films aren't, but I don't see it in that genre. It was almost like an indie film. It's so weird. I can't really explain it. I just liked how the storyline was simple for a superhero film. Usually superhero films have to end with a massive explosion, although there was quite a big thing, you know, it's all these different universes. But it kept a simple premise. Like, I loved the music, and I thought the animation was just absolutely amazing. Because like animation now, although animation's always lovely to look at now, a lot of the time it's very samey, you know.
Yeah, that will
change.
That will change everything.
They've all got big dewy eyes. But with this, I really liked how they had the comic booky dot super,
yeah.
and it was kind of like 3D.
Yeah.
It was just so beautiful to look at, and the way they moved was kind of like I said to you guys, it's like when you get those books when you flip the pages really quickly.
Yeah.
And it was like that the whole time.
Yeah. So Nanny Di, number 5.
Cold War.
Oh, Cold War.
Another foreign film. It's just amazing. Black and white. It was also, which you will know about more than me, but it wasn't just black and white, which makes it sound, I mean, it's set in snowy places. It's also got a frame thing where they bring
it's
the
the same
screen
as First
in.
Reformed.
And that's quite important because you
Yeah.
feel like it's an old-fashioned
Well, it's
sort of
Paul
idea.
Pawlowski is the director of
Pawlowski,
it.
that's
He
right.
directed a film called Ida. Paul Schrader saw Ida and directed First Reformed in
Isn't
the
that
same way.
interesting? It's just beautifully done, beautifully acted. It's based on his parents' story, which is also nice to know afterwards. The music has been amazing.
Yeah, it has
and the
been really
music
good
in
music.
that film is just astonishing.
Wow. Okay, number 4 for me is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think it was one of the greatest animated films I've ever seen. I think it was as good as and as radical and as revolutionary as when Toy Story was when Toy Story
Always wanted
first.
to say that.
Yeah, no, good. I was as gobsmacked as I was when I saw Toy Story with Izzy when it first came out. It was just ludicrously creative.
It was, wasn't it?
It's, I hope, spawned a completely new approach to animation. The animation helped to drive home and deliver the emotional story on an even cleverer level than films ever done before. I can't think of a film that has actually delivered a story in such a brilliantly inventive way. For me, it was creeping up my list of top 10 films more and more and more, because really film is a populist medium about getting lots of people in. And that is a film that will be seen by lots of people. And you might not understand why it's impacted on you in the way it has, but it's so effing clever.
Yes.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Black Klansman.
Hey!
I
I'm
wanna
pleased,
see
I'm
this.
pleased that's on it. I know. That's what's good
you
about
watched
this.
it the other night. I was upstairs with your mother going, oh my god, as I was hearing all this screaming, I was like, what is she watching?
I loved Black Klansman a lot. I mean, I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I still don't quite understand. I get that there's Birth of the Nation, there's a clip from that at the
Griffiths.
beginning.
Yeah,
The whole Alec
yeah.
Baldwin thing just throws me off a bit.
I just think it's got to be some twist
It's
on
great.
top.
It's like, it's very strange because he starts going blah, 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 and then
Yeah,
he goes back
yeah,
to the
yeah.
script. But it was such a strange story, and it was so crazy to think. Same as what Spike Lee said. It's insane to think that it's a true story.
Yes.
A black man was influencing the KKK.
The KKK.
I know.
It's crazy,
It's a
isn't
great
it?
story.
There's that scene with Adam Driver where he's trying to teach Adam Driver to speak
Speak
black.
jive.
Yeah,
to speak
yeah.
jive. That's right. With
And
Steve
it's-
Buscemi's brother.
Yeah, so it was really good, and it was really nice to see. I don't remember Denzel Washington's son.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
But what's he like?
I don't really.
He's
He's
great,
the main character.
is he?
He's the main
Yeah, he is
character.
very good.
It was just really clever the way that he dealt with when white people were like offensive and everything.
Yes.
The way he dealt with it. There's this moment where one of the other white police officers says something offensive to him, and he acts all friendly, and then the guy leaves, and he goes, "Oh yeah." It's like really, it's just really good. That's how you
Yeah.
feel watching it. You want to
Yeah.
punch him.
The guy who played the leader of KKK was.
He was
was
very good.
brilliant.
He was very good.
I mean,
very
I
good.
mean,
considering
think
what
all
he
the-
had to do.
Yeah, he had
with
to play
that.
a
I think
horrible
all the
part.
KKK members were really good
They were.
actors.
They were.
Especially the one guy that's really suspicious of Adam Driver.
Yeah, oh
It's
Yeah.
like,
God,
you're a
yes.
Jew.
Puts
Come
him
on.
on the lie detector.
Scary as anything.
I Tonya.
Oh, the guy, right, Tonya.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
Weird.
so
So
funny.
Kiki, you groaned a bit when Maddie said
So is that
Black
one you wish
Klansman.
you'd chucked
Do
on
you
your
wish you'd
list?
put it on your list?
Yeah, I
Oh.
mean, yes, we know the KKK is an awful thing. They didn't make all of the KKK members just
No,
evil.
they were
Yeah.
whole random
Yeah.
So,
characters.
you know, when they thought that somebody was a pure white American, they were very normal, genuine people.
People.
Yes.
Obviously, that's part of how evil they are when they're horrible towards black people or Jews, but it was just clever how they didn't make them just seem full-blown
Yes.
evil the way that you...
No, they're not. They're just people that have been misinformed.
And I
But
thought
it's like
that, and
this-
that's full credit to Spike Lee for
Yeah,
his restraint
absolutely.
there and willingness to give some character identification
Oh, it's
to.
fair, 'cause
But at the
horrible
same
people.
time, they were horrible.
Number 4, Mum.
Number 4 is A Quiet Place.
Oh,
Wow.
So I put it
okay,
far
higher.
higher up
Yeah.
than you guys. I just thought it was amazing.
It was.
The whole concept, as you've said already, but the idea that you can go to the cinema and sit and not be able to hear anything is just. I just thought it
Radical,
was so
really.
clever,
Yeah.
so inventive, so well acted.
Yeah.
It was the guy who played the father, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who I love the fact that you've already said like a child dies instantly, but just because it never happens and
No,
it does in
absolutely,
real life.
yeah. I mean, I
so
was
they weren't scared
gobsmacked.
of that.
I
Yeah,
was
they weren't scared
gobsmacked.
of that. And then the performances are amazing. I mean, can you imagine? Like you've talked about the whole sort of thing of Tully and giving birth, trying to give birth
Oh,
quietly.
well, yeah.
That's the
what put me
greatest
off.
scene.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the cleverest trope in the
Yeah,
film is
it
that
is.
running throughout all of it, you've got
She's
you've got the
pregnant.
knowledge that
Yes.
she's got to give birth quietly at some point.
And you
Just like
sort
horror.
of no,
It was
that's
unbelievable.
That was a real surprise to me.
Yeah.
It was. You felt it was a small budget thing. You know.
Well, it had all those. It was.
How did she stop the baby crying when it took its breath?
Well,
Exactly.
Well, you'll have to watch
Exactly,
it.
you have to see it.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kiki, what's your number 4?
I, Tonya.
I, Tonya, of
Tonya.
course.
I only didn't put that down because Oscars.
Yes. Why did you like I, Tonya?
When I watched it, if I'm honest, I was a tiny bit bored. But then I thought about it after, and I realised that I actually really liked it.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't actually that bored. And
So it grew on you. You realised
Grew
after
on
you'd
you.
watched it that it
Yeah.
had quite a big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what
Those
you
are
mean.
important, those sorts of films.
Yeah.
Not everything is
yeah,
immediate.
a bit like
yeah.
Tully, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't really like it when I first watched it.
Oh, okay.
That's the wrong word. But then, yeah, I thought about it and I actually really liked it.
What was really amazing in it with the talking heads, where people were just talking to camera like a documentary.
Yeah, it was really...
And it was just really clever because
Yeah.
then you realised that the more ridiculous the things they said were, but the more real
They were real.
these
Yeah.
things were.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
felt so sorry for it, didn't you?
You did.
I felt.
Well, being on the ice today, I
Yeah.
realised how talented she was.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
Number
This is
4.
4. Whitney. I really liked both of the Whitney films, but I'm glad I saw the Nick Broomfield first because
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I liked it, but I loved the second one. I went into work the next day and I was just telling everyone about it. Unlike the girls, I loved the way they set where we were historically with what was going on.
Right.
I just found it fascinating, and it was so similar to, in so many ways, to Amy.
Yeah.
Because this controlling father, and this family that earned from her. It was just the tragedy of it. There were so many people with no choices in it that were the victims of fame and fortune. And like my dad always says, success is a spike only a few should sit on.
Yeah.
And my God, it was true of them.
Yeah.
Because I really felt for her. Oh my God, the brutal honesty that came out of her family.
Yeah.
The brothers that talked about the spliff and to me it was an absolute revelation that she was such a huge addict before.
Yeah.
She got together with
What's his name?
Well,
Bobby
she
Brown.
introduced drugs
Bobby
to
Brown.
Yeah, yeah.
He
she-
introduced drink to her.
yeah,
Because
that's true.
I loved Whitney in the 80s,
Yeah.
like we all did.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh, Bobby Brown, she's
Well, that was
in
the-
church going
Yeah.
That was the
home.
inherited story, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That he caused
yeah,
all the trouble.
yeah.
But it was her father. Her father was a pig.
Yeah, he was a pig.
This is what I always love when I'm in the theatre or the cinema, wherever I like to go on a roller coaster of emotions, and it took me on it. So well
Yeah.
done.
Okay, number 3. Top three films from the Popcorn Junkies. Mandy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mandy. That's right.
A remarkable, weird, strange, immersive LSD trip
Yeah.
of 2 hours of Nick Cage giving me, I thought it was never going to be possible for me to go into the cinema and experience something that was, on the one hand, so brilliant, but at the same time so just weird and screwed up and
Yeah, it was
odd
really screwed up.
and yet beautiful to watch. Every single frame and shot
Yeah.
in this film, however sort of stupid the scene might have been, even the fact that he didn't know when to end the film. This guy was having a bloody good time
We saw
making
the
this
director
film.
as
We
well,
saw the
didn't we?
director,
Yeah.
Cosmetics.
And he
I think his
follows
name.
you on something.
And he follows me. He follows me.
I mean, that is a tribute.
No, I know. Nadia, never see it.
No.
Never see it.
I've seen the trailer, hated it.
Do you remember
Categorically is not
Do you
a film
remember
for
the
you.
funny line where he goes into his friend's caravan and he's
Oh
given the
my
bow and arrow?
God.
He's like, invented that thing myself. Cuts through flesh like a fat kid eats cake.
Cuts through flesh like a fat kid eats cake. Sorry, probably
not
one of the
to love.
greatest lines ever written. That Linus Roach, phenomenally
Yeah,
creepy.
it was really-
It had all the best moments. It almost contained all those moments from a film like Blue Velvet and David Lynch.
Yeah.
And it just kept chucking it at me. And so, for me, it was
Don't
like,
you look at me?
yeah, don't you fucking look at me. And I was just like, I was like a kid in a sweetie shop. It was just brilliant. Over the top, overblown, crazy as batshit.
Beautiful long shots.
Brilliant. It was brilliant. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was a wild ride
It was.
at the cinema.
My number 3 is 8th grade.
Ooh!
Because I absolutely loved
Good choice.
8th grade. I really related to the film and how I felt at school when I first joined my secondary school. And I thought
you
the little
did.
girl was so amazing at showing the kind of uncomfortable in her own skin sort of thing.
Elsie
Yeah.
Fisher played the part. She's been nominated for a Golden Globe.
So I'm so
Actually,
glad
good.
because she's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
Because there was this one scene where she's gone to a swimming pool party
Oh.
and all the kids are already in the swimming pool and she gets into her swimsuit. She's obviously really uncomfortable and just the way that she walks with like her head like
don't.
this and her arms really straight and the way she kind of just like slides into the pool trying to go unnoticed. Because when I was at secondary school I was very much the younger one of everybody else because I came a year early. So I was like a year younger than everybody I was hanging out with. And she wasn't in the same situation as me, but she was that kind of kid. She was the one that was a bit younger and wanted to be older.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt in school. So I
Her
really
dad
related
was
to
really
it. And the
good
dad
as
was
well. The
amazing.
dad was
It was
amazing.
her trying to act cool and not like her dad, but really she loved him.
Yeah.
And then the little boy that was her friend at the end, you know, Gabe. or
Yeah,
something,
Gabe. Yeah,
she
he was
met in the
so
pool.
Everybody
funny.
It was
Excellent.
literally just the perfect film. And I remember when they're sitting by the fire, her and the dad, she put something in the fire and he was like, "What are we burning?" And she goes, "All my hopes and dreams." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Maybe you're coming back into quoting that line.
Oh.
We're
Yeah.
desperate to see it, aren't we, Coops?
Honestly, it's just the perfect film, and it's
Yeah.
great for like great for adults and
Yeah,
kids'
it is.
age.
Yeah, because it
to
gives
watch
you a real insight.
Gives you an access
Yeah.
point at every age. Number 3, Nadia.
Lady Bird. Absolutely
Hey.
loved it. Was blown away by it both times, and it was lovely to watch it individually with both the girls. Watched it with Maddie in the cinema. Watched it with Kiki here on a night in together. I loved it both times.
I'd like to see it again.
Mother daughter, another great film with women with really strong parts.
Yeah.
The young actress who I can never say her name. I really should
Saoirse.
try. She's
Saoirse Ronan.
She's just bloody brilliant.
She is.
She's very
She's
good.
just
And
fantastic.
the mother was great. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
she's-
the woman from
The mother was
Roseanne.
phenomenal, and the director was just
Greta.
Greta.
Greta
Gerwig.
Gerwig.
I just like it really made me want to be directed by her. Made me
Yeah.
want to be an actress again. It was just,
Yeah, I've seen behind the
Oh,
scenes
that's
of
nice.
her directing it.
Kiki B, number 3.
Thoroughbred.
Yeah! That's my girl.
Yours is
You did love it.
So amazing.
I love the soundtrack.
she now
The
has.
soundtrack is
Yeah.
so... Yeah, I think it's one of the best soundtracks of the year.
Yeah.
You spotted that a mile off. It
Yeah.
really is a radical soundtrack.
Yes.
I loved the way it was filmed.
Yeah.
I thought it was an incredible film. I loved how weird it was.
What was
Yeah.
it about, Matt Kiki?
It's about these two girls and
Yeah,
It's
one
the
of
wrong
them's
way
one of
round.
them's kind of like a psychopath, but the
Yeah.
other one you
Wants
think
to kill her
isn't, and then
stepdad.
wants to kill her stepdad, and then they it slowly
Oh
switches.
God, it's so good, and they're out in that beautiful property
Yeah, yeah.
in the middle.
Yes.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that!
I
Oh
love
yeah, it's
the-
fantastic.
I love the girl from the Island, the Dying Girl.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Olivia
Cook.
Cook. Olivia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think
Yeah, it was
She's-
so good.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
Hang on, can a
Yeah.
shout out go to the stepdad as well?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
so
he's
so
really
phenomenal,
I think
wasn't
they
it?
worked well together as well.
I think they
Two
do.
girls.
Yeah.
And the guy obviously from Star Trek.
But I
Three.
love it.
I
It's
love it. Number 3, Nanny Died.
A Star is Born.
Oh, number 3.
Number 3.
Oh,
I thought it was pretty much near perfect.
okay.
I thought the story, which we all know if you're my age, you know, I liked it better than the Barbara Streisand and the original one. I thought she was fantastic. I thought he was an amazing director, as well as being a great singer and a great everything. The relationship was fabulous. The addiction, the way that they treated addiction was heartbreaking. And it was a proper, like, sit down and be amazed at this spectacular thing. It was just stunning.
Number 2. So for me, number 2, I'm with Kiki, pushing it a little bit higher up my list. For me, number 2 is Thoroughbreds. Until I saw the film that's at number 1, for me, it was head and shoulders my favourite film of the year. And that's partly from a filmmaking perspective. I thought it was, every single scene was so economically shot, performed, was vital to the plot. There was no excess baggage.
No, that's absolutely true.
Moments of silence were well observed. It wasn't rushed. The soundtrack, phenomenal. The shots, phenomenal. The balance between humour and psychopathy, brilliant.
Yes.
The stepfather, brilliant. The mother, brilliant. I just thought. I mean, I was just looking at the grab on the advert for it, the poster for it. American Psycho meets Heathers, and that's a really good grab on it, actually. It
is actually very Heathers.
It's very Heathers, and it was dark and it was twisted. And I thought its greatest achievement was its very sophisticated flipping of what makes a psychopath, and how there's a psychopath in all of us, and how you can find heart and warmth in the girl who was the psychopath to begin with, etc., etc. So, for me, I thought the actors Olivia Cooke, Anya Taylor-Joy, Anton Yelchin in the chat, who sadly died after Star Trek, remarkable, all of them. And it was, I don't know, Corey Finley, the director, literally don't know his work or their work from anything else. No. Perfect film. I thought it was just a perfect film. And it would have been my number 1 if it wasn't for the number 1 that is my number 1.
Oh.
Number 2 is Alexander McQueen. Another one that totally surprised me. I went to the cinema thinking, I'm going to kind of quite like this, and I was in tears. I had goosebumps. I was moved from beginning to end. I fell in love with all the characters that we met, the real life characters. I thought the talking heads were utterly brilliant. The authenticity that the director got out of the family that weren't a showbiz family, but also brilliant into camera. Yeah. I loved his journey. I loved who he was. It made me, somebody that's not interested in clothes, it made me understand that fashion is art. It is another art. And it was a great story of rags to riches, and a great reminder that where we dream of getting to isn't always what we dreamt it would be. The destination is not always the place we want to get to. Actually, the journey there is, and to see his terrible demise, and to see his pain and anguish and suicides, and it was just. But it was beautifully done as well. It was just beautifully shot, just aesthetically so pleasing. So definitely number 2.
Maddie, number 2.
You Were Never Really Here.
It's
my number 2.
Wow, wow, made a real impact, didn't it?
Yeah. I thought every single shot in it was beautiful to look at. Like you said, it was like a visual poem. Like it hardly had any script, and when it did, it was just perfect. It was always beautiful to look at, and I thought the colours were beautiful, and he played it with such he was a violent character because he kills a good few people in it, but he did it with such a gentle approach.
It was creepy.
I don't really know. I don't know if you remember that scene where he kills a man and then he lies down next to the man.
Yes.
And he makes the guy feel happy before he dies.
Weird.
Because it's kind of kind of what he had to do, because it's these people that are kind of involved in this young girl who's a prostitute.
Scene,
There's a really powerful scene where he properly lies down with this guy and he holds his hand. I was never bored.
No.
And I thought his relationship with his mom was really, and his relationship with the little girl was really powerful.
Yeah, which could have been very difficult to do.
Yeah, and I loved how they would show us, for example, there's a scene in a diner where he's talking to the little girl, and then he suddenly shoots himself in the head, and then his head falls down and all the blood spreads really thick. Blood spreads.
Yeah, I was so shocked by that.
And then it repeats, and then that never happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it must have been something he must have imagined him doing.
So you were with it at every step.
So
you never knew where you were.
You were with every action, every thought, every. It was. I thought it was just perfect film.
Mum, number 2.
Number 2, Roma.
Roma.
So my last and final.
Alfonso Cuarón.
See. No, it was just fantastic. Again in black and white,
Yes.
not with a small ratio.
Yeah, you like black and white this year, don't you, Mum?
It seems so.
Maybe we'll put this section now in black and white.
Yeah, set in Mexico City, which you wouldn't think would benefit from black and white, but it did. And it was his life story, and we, Mark, you and I went to see the question and answer, and he got the two women on stage. It was the story of his mother. The two women were the most important to him, his mother and his nan. I'm not going to go. Stop it! Stop the film!
Oh, Mum, that's fine. Don't worry. We'll bring the colour back now. Oh. It was a very nostalgic. It's a very moving film. I'll step in for you here, Mum.
Thank you.
It's a very moving film, and it is a film about memories.
Well,
I mean, and the director talked very beautifully actually about. It's not in my top 10. I thought it was a beautiful film, but it's not a film I would be rushing to go and see again. No. But it dealt with memory beautifully, I thought.
It did, and also I love the fact that it had real life events in it. So you had the whole sort of
earthquakes and
strangeness of that culture, just happening. And then all the stuff that happens to her as well with the bloke. Do you remember the man?
The guy with the stick.
And then all the stuff that happens over the baby.
Yeah. No, good.
No, it's okay.
Quit while you're ahead, Mum.
Yeah.
My mum said, I hated every single second of it.
I know.
Oh,
Well, but you are chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't think
no.
how she could.
Mum. Number 2 for Kooky Boo.
A ladybird.
Yes.
Well, kind of makes sense given you've got ladybird hair.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. It was so pretty. I loved what's his name again?
Oh, Lucas Hedges.
Yeah, I
Oh,
loved
he's
him
so
in
good,
it. Like the bit
yeah.
where he
He's
comes
great.
out to her when they're both crying. I find that was really sweet. She was really good in it.
Saoirse Ronan is amazing.
She was
isn't
really
she?
good in it. The mum was really good. I just thought it was a really
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong with it.
There are some genuinely laugh out loud moments. I mean,
Oh,
I know they
gosh,
use it in the
yeah.
trailer a lot, but the moment where she throws herself out of the car
Oh my God.
is another one of those. I often
I
think.
loved her relationship with her dad as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she had no
Oh my
time
god,
for
her
her
room as
mum.
well.
Well, her room.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Her room.
How did you
Bloody hell, her room. We've got.
She had not one bit of sympathy for her mum, did she?
No, but her
No.
mum was
Yeah,
so
but
But
her
then-
mum didn't really have
No,
sympathy
they
for her.
Her mum
But
was
then
so
at the end-
sarcastic.
I
Yeah.
thought her so much. They both loved each other
Yeah.
so much.
They
But
were,
the mum was
they were
a
exactly
difficult
the same.
Yeah, her mum was a difficult person.
But the mum, don't forget that one line where the mum reveals what her childhood was like.
Oh yeah.
Horrendously, horrendous.
I need to see it
of her mum.
again.
Yeah, I need
it
to
again.
Oh, I've seen it twice. I could see it again. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, I
choice.
enjoyed it.
Vicky.
Good choice, Coots. We are at number 1. 8 days later, we're at number 1. Our favourite film of 2018 is about to land. Let's just nail this in one go, because your number one, and my number 1 is A Star Is Born.
Oh wow.
Well, I haven't seen the other two, A Star Is Born, so
No,
I had
they're
no idea.
irrelevant.
I had
They are irrelevant.
I had
They are
no
now.
idea what was going to happen in this film.
Right.
And the trailer I thought was selling a completely different film.
Oh, the trailer was
The
terrible.
trailer I thought looked awful. I was dreading seeing the film.
Oh, wow.
It made it look too cheesy for me.
Tweet,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It also it was weird because almost the trailer made the songs sound fake and auto-tuning and all of this, but when you see the film, the songs are so real. I didn't know it was tackling addiction and like mental health. I thought it was, just a cheesy love story that was going to be perfect. They both get famous, la 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 la.
Yeah,
But it was really clever and it really misled you sometimes as well. Sometimes I thought Lady Gaga was going to fall off the wagon.
Yes.
And then I thought Bradley was getting okay again, and then wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like one of the saddest films I've ever seen. Like I'm still to this day scarred. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it
I
was
wasn't
proper.
expecting it at all. I don't know. I just found it so sad because obviously you were following different sides of the story. So when you saw that Bradley Cooper is in such a bad place and she had no idea about it, it's just
No.
come home.
You come home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or something, or reassure him. There's that heartbreaking bit where she's lying on the bed with him and he's looking at the ceiling, and
I
she's
know.
obviously thinks everything's fine. She's like, "I'll come back after, have a good time," but he's obviously already planned what he's going to do,
Yes.
and he's just got the tears in his eyes and he's
Oh,
looking at the
don't.
ceiling and just trying to be happy for her.
Don't get me going. Just
Yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to be happy for her. I just literally every second of it. I was just, it's not okay. So yeah, it's pretty much left me heartbroken. I need to see it again. So that's my number one.
God, how proud are we?
Yeah.
To be able to give an analysis like that.
Exactly.
And you know, just sitting here thinking about it, because you just remind me, having watched the first one with Barbara Streisand and Chris Christopherson, and when I think, I don't know how old I would have been there, but I had all the innocence of youth, and I just saw it as a love story. Oh yeah, that was a bit sad. And then of course watching it at 54, having been at the coalface of the themes within it, addiction, losing someone to suicide. It's like when we reviewed the film, I cried then, I cried all the way through it, I cried for days afterwards. It's had such a massive effect on me, that film. It's disturbed me, it's unsettled me. But just like, but thank God for it. I mean, that is TV, cinema, film, theatre, whatever. At its best, when it disturbs and agitates. And I'm still so moved by all the messages that we got under our review when we talked about just incredible messages, you know, and it's just such a struggle. And I'd actually forgotten that there was a suicide, and just took my breath away actually seeing it, and it was just, but it was the most beautiful film, and it was no other love story will ever play out for me in a movie like that.
No.
It was just so beautiful. I think we're all, I mean, everyone I know that loved it feels like we lost a few layers of skin from it. You feel skinned, you feel almost flayed, you feel, so there just are no words for the director, for the crew, for Bradley, there are no fucking words, because it was a perfect film. There was nothing wrong with that film.
I always felt when they're looking at each other, you truly believe that they're in love with each other.
Oh, you do. Yeah.
I did forget I was watching a film. I really believed that it was a true story. And also, I forgot to say, but I liked how it was clever how they showed, like, although the addiction was horrible and everything, it was quite a gentle way of you know, even when he was at his darkest point, when he was really drunk or really high, he never hurt her.
No.
There's the one scene where they have an argument like you do, and it was sad because you could see that he wasn't meaning anything that he was saying.
But it just showed the disease. It showed and that's what it's easy tricks to have you push someone down the stairs or beat them up or whatever. But that's actually the easy route with telling the story of addiction. This really told it as somebody with the most incredible heart. And I mean, that scene on the bed when she's chatting away to him, and you could just Bradley just tells us without moving a single muscle. Everyone that wants to be an actor should watch that scene for them, and you were dying inside, because you know there's just, I mean, for people that suffer from depression or anything, we've all had those dark times when we've just felt so dark. But my God, it's just.
Well, I mean, I'd agree. I mean, I think a phrase that you used in our review, and again, I was also moved by all of the comments that everyone said about the film and our review, but you know, describing him and them both and their relationship as a beautiful disaster. I think the whole film was about how beautiful a disaster their relationship was, and how beautiful a disaster so many relationships are. I mean, I've never watched something where I have so, you know, this word relatable that we often use. It wasn't relatable. I felt like I had been transposed from my body, and I was both in the film and the film was in me. So I felt it almost impossible to distinguish myself from a film. It was like being coated in it. It was like being, there were so many truths. And in a weird way, I think I said this at the time, it's a beautifully shot film, very cleverly directed, very.
When you think it's his
first film as well, but you know, and beautifully written and beautifully paced and all these things. And you can break down how he did that, but at the same time, I would almost go just so far as to say it was like an emotional documentary for me. It was like an emotional rockumentary, because it was so true.
It was so exciting.
And it was so clever.
You fell in love with each of them as they fell in love with each of them. So for a film to take you on a journey of falling in love.
Absolutely.
Oh
in this
cynical
age.
And then to lose,
in this cynical age,
to lose that love, and then to feel the grief.
I felt like I lost him, like I was her, and you feel like you're her when.
Kiki, what's your first?
So Kiki, what's your number one?
McQueen.
McQueen!
Yeah.
Yeah!
You
I
are
still
so
haven't
clever.
seen it.
This kid is 11.
Yeah?
Wow.
It's made me like fall in love with him.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually love him now.
So it's for you, it's your Amy. For Maddie Amy, it's your Amy, isn't it?
Like I want to be his friend.
Oh.
I just
I know
love the
what you
way
mean.
it was done, and I don't know. It's just such an amazing
Story, isn't it?
story. Yeah, and it's just amazing how he thought of the stuff.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the music. The music's
yeah.
amazing, it's
And like the
designed.
skulls and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, I know.
Yeah.
And how much of because what I loved about a lot of it was how he just, of course he cared deeply what people thought, but he also didn't care what people thought.
He had to do what he had
just
to
did.
do.
Did you like that? Did you, I don't know, if you're 11, can you pick up that or
Yeah.
not? Was that something you loved in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you watch a film at a different age, you get different things
Of
from it,
course,
don't you?
of course. Yeah.
And it's a very grown-up. I mean, I would
Yeah.
say it's a very grown-up watch.
Yeah.
It's something that when we went to the cinema to see it, you're sitting there and going, right, okay, I'm watching a documentary. You have to sort of,
2 hours.
and I think that's a sign of how successful it was. That it's drawn you in. You have an
Yeah.
interest in fashion, but you're right. His personality comes through. I found
so fun.
he looks so fun, but I also deeply sad.
Yeah,
Especially when he went
yeah.
to Isabella Blow's funeral.
Yeah.
That shot of him
Yeah,
rushing in
where he's
and.
just looking down.
Yeah, and I just kind of I wanted more from him in it. I wanted to
Yeah.
hear more from
I
him.
loved it. Right, so we can't actually bloody believe it, but Mark went to edit this film and something had happened with the camera and glitched out. Nanny Dies, #1 film, so we can't go without that. So far away now, Nanny Die, and we'll slot it in.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got 2 favourite films, which is a bit of a cheat.
That is so cheaty.
Well, I did say that at the beginning of the whole exercise. And
It's
I was
such a
told I could
cheat.
have it.
Cheat.
Have them.
Gee.
One is You Were Never Really Here, because it is just the most fantastic film. And the other one is
God, don't bloody forget.
Hereditary. Thank
Oh
you,
my
thank
God.
you, thank you.
Why did you like Hereditary?
Well, Hereditary is just a superb horror film. I mean, I thought it was a horror film of the year, obviously. I thought it fulfilled its promise, which on all the posters said, this is the new Exorcist. I thought it was like the new Exorcist, and I was petrified of the Exorcist. There was so much going on.
Did you walk out of the Exorcist?
No, I didn't.
I remember
Did
that.
you?
Yeah, there was so many people walking out.
Yeah, no, it was very scary, and this was too, and everybody was excellent. Stuff going on all around the frame, beautifully done. You Were Never Really Here was just so astonishingly spare. It was bold. There was no fat on it at all. It just went from event to event to event. Shocking. He was amazing.
Who?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, right.
It was just, I mean, he's a brutal man, but there were some really, really tender moments, and it just wrong foots you, almost until the very end. And I, in a way, although they were very different films, that's the reason why I sort of seemed a bit greedy and thought I can't choose between them for best film of the year.
She's
So
always been
that's
greedy.
why.
Have you had bacon crisps?
Yes, sorry.
I thought so. I could smell
Sorry, all right.
Anyway.
On that greedy note of 2 double ones, thank you everyone for all of your lovely support, subscriptions, comments, chats, information, telling us the details of things that we're unclear about. This coming year, we're going to make an even bigger commitment to becoming the Popcorn Junkies. So we're looking forward to our journey with you. So thank you so much.
We're going to be eating more popcorn.
I hope so.
Are we going to be
well,
proper junkies?
I think we need to throw popcorn at each other. Yeah,
I think we
proper.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Happy New
Happy New
Year!
Year!
Bye all!
Happy New Year.